I know it's a bit late to talk about Poppy Playtime 3 as it's been over 2 weeks since the game's release, but when it comes to discussing Playtime Company and Mob Entertainment's Poppy Playtime series, it's never too late. We all know that Mob Entertainment likes to embed various mysteries in the VHS tapes in each chapter for players to explore, but not everyone pays attention to those details. So today, my horror enthusiast friends, I will compile and analyze all the VHS tapes that the fan community has found in Chapter 3. Who knows, if you show support, we might even cover the first 2 chapters as well. Without further ado, before we dive in, I hope you can spare a few seconds to give MG Horror Studio a like and share to help the video reach more people. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so to support me. Now, let's get straight into it. If you're not familiar, VHS stands for Video Home System, a type of tape that was quite popular for recording videos or audio in the 1950s but became outdated with the advent of DVDs and computers. Mob Entertainment incorporated VHS tapes into Poppy Playtime 3 as an additional way to provide small pieces of information related to the game world setting without diluting the main storyline. These VHS tapes are scattered throughout the game as collectible items that you can choose to pick up or ignore. Currently, there are a total of 31 VHS tapes that have been found and compiled on the Foreign Fan Community's wiki, with all 13 tapes from Chapter 3, which was released earlier this year. The Claire Harper summary tape is one of the first tapes you can find in the game after escaping the garbage compactor in the opening scene. It is a green audio tape with a duration of 1 minute and 42 seconds, capturing a conversation between a consultant and a girl named Claire Harper regarding an incident involving a child named Marie Payne at Playcare. According to Claire, on that day, she was putting the children to sleep as usual, everything was peaceful, and nothing unusual happened until she noticed red smoke from catnap appearing in the room, and the children began to exhibit strange behaviors, notably, Marie Payne. The pupils in the girl's eyes dilated, her lips trembled, and her eyes rolled around the room, Claire told the interviewer. At that moment, Claire was holding Marie's hand, and she swore that she could feel the boiling blood under the girl's delicate skin. The female staff member said she was certain Marie was experiencing a terrifying nightmare because the girl exclaimed that an invisible, colorless monster had appeared right in front of her at that time, although Claire couldn't see it. The recording ends without revealing Marie's fate, but it is hinted that she was separated from Claire for some reason after that incident. Regarding Claire Harper, this is an unfamiliar name that has not appeared in the Poppy Playtime series before. However, from the incident report file found in the Chapter 3 ARG interaction, an alternate reality game created by Mob Entertainment for fans to search for information in Leith Pierre's computer, the head of innovation at Playtime Company, we learned that Marie Payne mentioned in the audio recording is the prototype for Mommy Longlegs in Part 2. Combining the information, we find that Marie Payne was an orphan living in Playcare's orphanage. On February 5, 1988, or 1989, Marie was exposed to the red gas from catnap, leading to severe hallucinations and madness. The caregiver at that time, Playcare area consultant Claire Harper, along with others, restrained her and reported the incident to superiors. Claire concluded in the audio recording that Marie was teased by other boys, affecting her psychologically, and promised not to let such incidents happen again. By 1991, Marie was forced to participate in the experiment that created Mommy Longlegs, likely leading to her intense hatred towards Playtime Company scientists. Notably, in the audio recording, Claire expressed deep affection for Marie, calling her my little girl and requesting Playtime Company to return her. However, as seen in the game, the miraculous outcome in the Playcare laboratory may not have occurred. By the way, talking about Playcare, when you climb onto the train and start moving towards the orphanage underground, a VHS tape with the voice of Playcare Company's founder, Elliot Ludwig, will automatically play to introduce this area. The tape begins with the question, "What do you think this world needs more of?" A series of questions are posed, but Elliot dismisses them all, ultimately stating that what the world lacks is smiles because they symbolize hope, love, understanding, and the smiles of children are the most important of all. For this reason, Playcare was established with the motto of keeping smiles on the faces of children abandoned by their families. Here, not only is there a place for the children to live, but also a school and a playground to ensure all their basic needs are met. Elliot praises Playcare as a real haven, and he believes the children will love their new home. However, sadly, after the founder of the Playcare toy empire passed away, the orphan children in this place became the main subjects of experiments to serve the cost-cutting interests of high-ranking leaders within the company. Currently, it is still unclear whether the establishment of Playcare was Elliot's premeditated intention to prepare for subsequent experiments or if he genuinely wanted the best for the children, as he stated in the VHS tape. The answer may only be revealed as the story of Poppy Playtime officially concludes in the future. And stepping into the orphanage, inside Playcare, you will find another tape that I mentioned in Chapter 3 titled, Welcome to Playtime, a standard welcome tape that companies often play to express warmth to employees with highly embellished greetings. The supervisor in charge of recording this tape strongly declares that Playtime employees will welcome you as a member of the big family. You are allowed to move freely inside the factory and choose to participate in the department you prefer. Of course, as an ideal company, Playtime always ensures to listen to all your emotional feelings while working here. On the surface, this seems like an ideal workplace. However, everything quickly changes as the content of the tape starts to twist. The speaker gradually utters meaningless phrases with an extremely frightening tone. This scene is explained as the player being hallucinated by the red gas from catnap that we inhale as soon as we step into Playtime. Therefore, the horrifying content behind the recording may not actually exist. However, hallucinations are often created based on the subconscious fears of humans. So, the main character inadvertently experiencing a hallucination about the welcome tape may imply that before Playtime Company ceased its operations, the main character was once welcomed by a similar tape. But things gradually turned worse, and Playtime Company began to twist in various ways. The warmth that the company committed to also changed in a negative direction. As we have seen, after the tape ends, Huggy Wuggy emerges from the screen and pursues the player, indicating that the nightmare has ended and opens the door to an even scarier nightmare when the Playtime Hour event unfolds. And if we want to delve into the corruption of Playtime, as seen in the analysis videos of previous parts, we know that Playtime Company conducted experiments on the orphan children at Playcare to create giant toys, aiming to cut costs for the factory, among other possible reasons. However, the orphan children cared for at Playcare are unaware of this. You'll find a VHS tape named Samuel Lee's Last Day in a cabinet at the orphanage, talking about how the children here celebrated when a child named Samuel Lee was adopted, but we all know that things weren't as they seemed. Without going into the content, just looking at the title of the tape tells us that it was Samuel's last day in existence. The tape starts with the noise of the children, followed by the appearance of two individuals named Dr. White and Ms. Brooks. These characters have not appeared in Poppy Playtime before, but from the dialogue, we can tentatively conclude that Dr. White is a member of the research team, while Ms. Brooks is a Playcare employee, as she seems very familiar with the children here. Dr. White's purpose in coming to Playcare is to take a child away, and this doesn't seem to be the first time because the children look very excited when they see Mr. White, eagerly asking Ms. Brooks who will be chosen. An unfamiliar boy named Samuel Lee is chosen, and everyone is joyful, enthusiastically clapping and saying goodbye to Samuel. Based on the children's reactions, it's clear that they have no idea about the inhumane actions that Playtime Company is about to undertake. Perhaps they have all been brainwashed by the employees here with a fantastical promise that if they try to get chosen, they will be adopted and have their own family or go to some magical land. You know, it's easy to brainwash a group of children, especially when you've been raising them from a young age. Even in the VHS tapes found in Chapter 3, we learn that besides the prototype with code 1006, Huggy Wuggy with number 1170, the dinosaur Brawn with number 1199, Catnap with code 1188, Mommy Longlegs with 1222, there are still mysterious experiments like 1160, 1322 whose identities haven't been revealed. And if the experiment numbers correspond to the numbers of children taken for experiments, there have been hundreds, even thousands of children who have become victims of Playtime. Among them, you will find a tape reporting on experiment number 1322 in a room inside the orphanage, recording a conversation between a scientist and a child named Joseph. Joseph is one of the children living at Playcare, and he has a friend named Kevin. In a chance encounter, Joseph saw the scientist doing something to his friend at night. The scientist claimed that Kevin was seriously ill, and he was treating him. Of course, not by injecting meaty needles into the boy, as indicated at the beginning of the tape, telling us that the research team is conducting experiments on Kevin's nervous system. In history, experiments on the nervous system of humans are usually prohibited due to their inhuman nature, such as electroconvulsive therapy, skull drilling surgery, frontal lobe lobotomy, or the use of chemicals on the victim's body. Naturally, because of the horrifying nature of these procedures, I won't list them here. You can search on Google if you're curious, but be prepared mentally before doing so. Returning to the main issue, through the tape, we can learn that not only the children taken away but also the children still living at Playcare are categorized as experimental subjects. They are often put to sleep early at night, not for their well-being, but to make it easy for scientists to conduct experiments at night. The red gas from catnap is likely used to put the children to sleep to ensure they won't wake up while they perform their inhumane experiments. At this point, you might be thinking that this toy company couldn't get any more sinister, but congratulations, you guessed wrong. In a VHS tape titled The Hartmann Incident found inside the counseling office, we learn that Playcare children can be adopted by families, but if deemed unsuitable, they will be returned like broken toys to be replaced with another. It's noteworthy that when the Hartmann couple hinted at returning the adopted child to get another, the counselor hesitated because the child they chose had been marked by the company for an upcoming experiment. These might be the children I mentioned in the VHS tape, The Last Day of Samuel Lee, above. Of course, even if Playtime is sinister, not all employees are necessarily bad. In the VHS tape Stuart and Rich found in the underground cave beneath Playcare, we learn about the conversation between two employees, Stuart and Rich. It's just a regular conversation, but the issue lies in the attitude of an employee named Rich. He is dissatisfied with Playtime's practices, suggesting that children should enjoy natural sunlight rather than artificial light. Rich genuinely cares for the children and thinks about their well-being, while also recognizing the abnormalities at Playcare. However, the place that emphasizes children's happiness prohibits employees who care for the kids, like Rich, from interacting with them. If you didn't know about Playtime, you might think the company restricts the interaction to protect the children, but in reality, I believe it's to prevent the children from learning things beyond their control. Rich is quite a unique character. Although he only appears in VHS tapes and is not directly mentioned in the game, the fan community has speculated a lot about his identity. Some believe he is the player being controlled, while others feel Rich is the prototype because he seems to harbor intense hatred towards Playtime. However, there's still not enough evidence to confirm these hypotheses at the moment, so we'll set them aside for now. Continuing from there, if you pay attention, all toys associated with the prototype faction like Mommy, Huggy, or Catnap have experiment ID numbers, indicating that they are children experimented on, transformed into toys. On the other hand, toys aligned against the prototype like Poppy or Kissy Missy don't have experiment ID numbers, making me question if aligning with Poppy is the right choice. From the beginning of the video until now, it's evident that Playtime has carried out many inhumane actions on the unfortunate children at Playcare, so it's clear we cannot empathize with the actions of the company's employees. Poppy, being a toy closely associated with the birth of Playtime, should undoubtedly be well aware of this. However, throughout the 3 parts of the game, we see that Poppy completely hides information about experiments from the players. Instead, the doll continuously suggests vague help from players, and the prototype will take the player's life if they leave. Clearly, Poppy is hiding something, and instead of asking for help from the players, I feel like she is trying to indoctrinate us into the Playtime faction rather than the prototype. In a VHS tape found in the school, you'll hear the puppet Miss Delight talking to someone, suspected to be Catnap, about whether the children in the school will be safe during the Playtime Hour event. Catnap claims they will be, but then refuses to tell Miss Delight about the children's location, as immediately after, in the last part, we find out that Miss Delight will devour the children if she finds them. Here, there is a considerable contradiction. If the prototype is doing everything to save the children and the pitiable experiments of Playtime, why, in part 3, Does a boy named Ollie align with Poppy's faction and go against the prototype? If you step into the safe room, you will find a VHS tape titled Diary 24459, recording the conversation between the prototype and Dr. Harley Sawyer, showing that experiment number 1006 has the ability to mimic other people's voices. Many theories suggest that Ollie is the prototype mimicking, and its attempt to lead players towards the Poppy faction is to prepare for a more elaborate plan in the future. So, reversing the previous hypothesis, if the actions of Catnap, or some mysterious entity considered to be protecting the children, and if the owner of that voice is indeed Catnap working for the prototype, then we really need to think carefully about the identity of Poppy in her statements. Does the prototype really deserve the negative perception we have formed? The content in a VHS tape named Catnap Check-In records a conversation between Leith Pierre and Catnap. Initially, it's just an audio clip congratulating Theodore for 4 years as Catnap, but we can hear the insincerity in Leith's words. Catnap hardly responds to him, and the only thing we hear from the addicted cat is that the prototype will redeem them all. The redemption behavior that Catnap mentions is very likely the event that occurred on August 8, 1995. There is a long white tape, 1 minute 13 seconds, titled Emergency Warning, August 8, 1995. Placed in the counseling office, stating that some force had infiltrated Playtime on August 8, 1995, at 11:01 a.m., and all staff was ordered to evacuate immediately. During the evacuation process, employees were advised not to bring any personal items, avoid communicating with strange entities, hide in the shelter if unable to find an escape route, and try to remain as silent as possible. However, the announcement was abruptly cut off, and then the voice of a mysterious person declared that Playtime Hour had begun. It can be seen that the strange event the tape is referring to is Playtime Hour, where the intruders are none other than the toys created by the Playtime Company. The results of the employees not being able to escape from that execution day are recounted by Poppy in the final part of Chapter 3 through a film segment. They were either killed by the toys or turned into nutrients to provide energy for them. Despite the prior emergency warning, it seems that almost no employee survived, even those who sought refuge inside the company's shelter. The employees are truly pitiful, and the toys are ruthless in their actions, as seen in the emotions that Poppy wants us to experience when witnessing those scenes. Clearly, the doll is trying to pull players to its faction in various ways, exaggerating the cruelty of the toys but not addressing the reasons behind their actions. Indeed, after completing Part 3 for the first time, I genuinely felt empathy for Poppy and wanted to resist the prototype. However, upon reflecting on the VHS tapes, I became highly skeptical of Poppy's true motives. Is what Poppy tells us the truth, or is there a hidden agenda behind her innocent face? In the last scene of Chapter 3, we hear that Kissy Missy has been attacked. I think it's a trap set up by Poppy herself to make herself appear innocent and point the blame towards the prototype. However, all of this is purely speculative, as there is no concrete evidence to support it. Therefore, I need additional hypotheses from you. Leave your thoughts below the video to discuss whether the prototype or Poppy is truly the antagonist in this game. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to take a few seconds to like and share to support MG Horror Studio. Now, goodbye, and see you in the next videos. Bye bye.